Welcome back everybody. As we know, last week we have learned about TOEIC Reading Test 1. That is what we call as a incomplete sentence. For this week, we will learn about the second part of the TOEIC test for reading. That is what we call as a error recognition and text completion. In this test, you have to complete the text presented in the test paper. So let's jump right into it.
We are on the second part of the reading, especially for TOEIC reading part 2, and that is reading for text completion. So in this case, we will talk about reading, especially text completion, in the form of a closed test. So you will have a list of words or a list of paragraph that is missing in that part, and then you have to add the missing words by choosing the options. So let's just jump right into it. So the first part of the reading for the text completion, so we will talk about the learning objectives itself. That is, in this case, we will still talk about grammar and syntax, and then vocabulary, and then word, phrase, or sentences, but it is not as many as what we have learned previously. So the first part would be the tenses itself. So here are the tenses, especially for the 16 tenses. The list of the tenses are included over here, but I won't explain it one by one since it will really take our time. So you can just pause this one and understand it one by one for the tenses itself. Okay, try to understand it by yourself since it will needs a lot of time to explain the 16 of them. And the next thing would be modal auxiliaries. So in this case, what is actually modals? Modals are used to give the verbs extra meaning, and how do you use modals is just like this one. So modal is always followed by the verb one. So for example, we can play football today, or we may play football today. Here are the list of the modals itself. So for the modals can, it shows the ability or permission. So for instance, he can type 100 words per minute, or even permission, you can leave the class after it's over. And then could, this is similar with the would and may. It shows the possibility she could be late because of the traffic. And then will, this is for the future. So you can predict something by using will as a modal. For instance, I'm sure they will get the money, or I'm sure we will have an A score for this subject. The next thing is would. It shows the intensity. For instance, he promised he would pick her up on time. So it shows the intensity of someone. The next part would be may. After it shows the possibility, just like would and could, it also shows permission. For instance, you may leave the class early. This is also similar with the can. Might is similar with may and would and could. Shall is similar with will, but it also offers a suggestion. For instance, shall we meet tomorrow to discuss the project, or even shall we go to the cafe tomorrow afternoon? That is also okay. But pay attention that shall is used for a formal occasion only. And then for the should itself, it shows the advice, suggestion, or a good idea. For instance, you should check the books again. And it also shows expectation. The example is, since she works so hard, she should get promoted soon. Or the next part would be ought to. This is also the same with should. And then the last one would be must. In this case, we can also talk about must in wajib Indonesia. So it shows the necessity. The bookkeeper must finish doing the payroll by Thursday, or logical conclusion. Or it draws the conclusion or kesimpulan in Indonesia. It must be very stressful in this pandemic situation. And the next part will be the practice test itself for the model auxiliaries. Try to finish this one in only 10 seconds. Let's just pause the video and try to guess the answers of the following practice tests. I will give you 10 seconds. Okay, finish guys. So let's take a look on the first one. What are the keywords? Here are the keywords. Number one, is there a chance for you, blah blah blah, lose your job this winter? The answer would be might. Why is it not can or should or must? Because might shows the possibility. Let's go to the previous slides. Nah, you can choose it over here. Possibility. You cannot use can since it shows the ability, but you can use could. But it is not presented in the options itself. So the answer would be B. And then number two, the office blah 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 closed on the day before the holiday. It depends how busy we are next week. Nah, they're talking about the future. Next week are the conditions over here. So what is your answer? Okay, the answer would be will. So since it shows the future itself. Okay. Got it everyone? Do you understand?